Welcome to Beams's Styling YouTube channel, and in today's class we are going to learn how to draft a basic bodice half-scale block, the boss dart technique. It's a very simple tutorial and beginners friendly. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. For the purpose of this tutorial, you'll be needing your tape rule, curved rulers, your pattern paper, your pen. In this case, I'm using a marker pen. To get started, first we'll mark out our border lines across our pattern paper using 1 inch on the vertical side of the paper and also 1 inch on the horizontal side of the paper. This borderline is going to serve as our starting point for our draft. The following measurements will be used in this draft. Our body measurement, our shoulder width, our bust point, front length and back length, our bust circumference, waist circumference, and our bust span. These are the various measurements that will be used in drafting our half-scale bodice block. Once we are done marking out our border lines across our pattern paper, we proceed to creating our block. And for our block, the first thing that we need is our half length, because we are drafting an half scale block. So we need our half length for the front and also for the back. That's the front length and the back length. And in this case, I'm working with front length 18 inches and back length 15.5. So from my border line at the top of my pattern sheet, I will mark out my 18 inches. I'm using the front measurement, the front length to create the block for this pattern. Mark out your 18 inches for the to create your block. To create your block, you mark out your 18 inches and rule your line across. To get the width of our block, we need our round, the biggest measurement. That's our circumference. Our circumference is the biggest measurement. In this case, I'm working with bust 36 and waist 28. So the biggest part is my bust measurement, which is 36. We go ahead and divide our bust at 36 into 2, and what we have is 18 inches. Once we are done, we have gotten the half measurement of our busts. There's something called ease on block, and the essence of the ease on the block is so that it will accommodate our darts. For any block. The ease on the block is 2 inches. So I've gone ahead to add my 2 inches ease to my 18 inches gotten from the bust measurement. So I'll mark this 20, that's 18 plus 2, which is 20. I'll mark the 20 inches across my pattern sheet, and then I'll draw out the line connecting those points together. And with this, I've been able to create the block for my pattern. For every pattern, we have the front part and the back part. And so we need to go ahead to divide the width of our block into 2 so that we can have a part for our front pattern and a part for our back pattern. So we divide our 20 inches into 2, and that we will get 10 inches. Then we'll mark it out and draw out a straight line. And now we have 2 parts on our block. So we determine the parts that will be used as our front and our back. For me, I'm using this part for my front. and the other side for my back. So I'm going to go ahead to label them as follows. The center front, which is the CF, and then the center back rather, which is the CB. So center front and my center back. So this will guide me to let me know the part that serves as my front and that of my back. Now let's move on to marking our chest line across both the front and the back. For our chest line, to get our chest line, we divide our bust measurement divided by 6 plus 2.5. So in this case, 36 divided by 6 will give us 6 inches plus 2.5. That will make it 8.5 inches. So we'll mark our 8.5 at the middle and on our front and on our back pattern. And then we draw a straight line across the front and back block. Please note that whenever you are drafting your pattern, you do not add any sewing allowance to your pattern. You do not add any sewing allowance to your pattern. And then the next thing we'll do from here is to mark out our back length. Like I said earlier, our back and our front lengths are not the same. So in this case, my front length is 18 inches and my back length is 15.5. So you mark out your back length, you take that measurement from the top of your pattern to your 15 inches and then mark it across. That would be your back length, and then the other side, the 18 inches, is going to be the front length. Go ahead and label your pattern, the front length, and the other side is the back length. So this will guide you when drafting your pattern. Now, let us move to our shoulder. The shoulder I'm working with is 14 inches. 14 inches divided by 2 will give us 7 inches. So the top of my sheet, the part where I drew that border line, will serve as my shoulder line. So that is the part where I will take my 7 inches and mark my shoulder there. And then I go to the chest line and also mark my shoulder, which is 7. Then I'll connect both sides together, both points together like so. Once I'm done with that, I would move on to the neck width. The basic neck width measurement is 3 by 3, but you can also get your neck measurement by dividing your bust measurement divided by 12. For instance, in this case, I'm working with bust 36 divided by 12 will give me 3 inches. So I'll mark my 3 inches on the width of my neckline and also the depth 3 inches, and then I connect it with my curved ruler like so. That is my 3 by 3 measurement. If your bust is 40, go ahead and divide your bust measurement by 12, and whatever value you get will be used as your width and depth of your neckline. So the next thing is for us to mark out our shoulder slope. Of course, our shoulders are not straight, and that's the essence of this slope, so that there will be a balance on our shoulder line. So I'll mark out 1 inch on that point and then connect to my neck width. Once I'm done marking my shoulder slope, I'll go ahead and then divide my armhole into 2. I'll divide that line into 2, and whatever the midpoint is, I'll mark it like so, and then I'll go in by half an inch. I'll go in by half an inch and connect that half an inch point to my shoulder slope with a straight line, and then I connect it like that with a straight line. And the next thing is to take my bust measurement on my chest line. Bust 36 divided by 4 will give me 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark my 9 inches on my chest line, and then take my armhole curve and then connect the midpoint of where I came in by 0.5. I'll connect it back to my bust measurement, and with that I have been able to draw out the armhole for my front bodice. So the next thing we do now is to go to our waist line. That is the 18 inches mark that we took the front length, and that is where we take our waist measurement. The waist I'm working with is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. I'll mark my 7 inches, and then for me, I take that of 1.5, that's 0.75 on both sides. That's just for fitting purpose. For some persons, they take 0.5 on both sides, and I call that 50% tightening. For this, I call it 75% tightening. You can also take 1 inch for your dart. That is 100% tightening. So it depends on the kind of body you are working with. For a slim person, you can do 0.5 on both sides. So the next thing we need to do now is to get our bust point, and then we'll take our measurement from the top, our shoulder line, and mark it. My bust point here is 10 inches. I'll mark out the 10 inches and then draw my line that like that. Once I've drawn the line, the next thing is for us to take our nipple to nipple measurement. This nipple to nipple measurement will be taken, that's our bust span, will be taken on our bust point line and also on the waist line. Nipple to nipple I'm working with here is 8 inches, so I'll take my 4 inches, that's 8 divided by 2 on the bust point line and on the waistline, and then I'll connect both like so. Then on the point where, on that straight line where I marked my bust span measurement, I would now take my dart intake, that's 0.75 on the left and 0.75 on the right side, and then I'll connect it back to that point on the bust point. Both sides will be connected back to the point on the bust point, and I have my waist dart for my front bodice. I've just created my waist dart for my front bodice. Now, we'll be wondering why the back and the front lengths are not the same and how we would have to balance them when we want to transfer to fabric. This brings us to the bust dart technique. Now, the difference between your front length and your back length will determine your bust width. Your bust dart width rather. So I've taken the measurement, which is 2.5, and I've transferred it to the side of my pattern, and then I've measured the 2.5. I'm going to connect that back to my bust point, and here I've drawn out my bust dart. This is now my bust dart, and once we are done with this pattern and we close up that side of the dart, we would have a balance on the side for the front and the back. So go ahead and mark the midpoint of that bust dart, come out by 0.75, and then connect that point back to your bust measurement like so. Connect it back to your bust measurement, and then you go ahead and use a curved ruler. Go ahead and use a curved ruler to connect that side also back to your waistline. This is just to help us when we are cutting out our pattern, so that we would not have any shortage on that part of our draft, on that part of our block. And so we are done with this. We are done with our front bodies. We move on to the back bodies. For the back bodies, we go ahead and take our shoulder measurement also on the shoulder line. Our 7 inches shoulder measurement will be taken both on the shoulder line and also on the chest line. And we go ahead to connect both points together with a straight line, like so. Yeah, when we are done connecting both lines, then the next thing we will do, just the way we did for the front, we take our back neck measurements. For the back width, we also use 3 inches, but for the back depth, we use 1 inch, which is a standard measurement, 1 inch, and then we use our curved ruler to connect the 2 points together, the back neck width and the depth. That's the 3 by 1 inches. We connect it like so, and here we have our back neckline. So we go ahead to take our back shoulder slope just exactly the way we took it for the front. That's 1 inch. Come down by 1 inch and connect to the back neck point. connect it back to the back neck point. Next, we divide our line into two like so, and then we locate the midpoint of that line, and on the midpoint we come in by half an inch. And connect it back with a straight line to our shoulder slope like so. Connect it back to our shoulder slope like so. And after this is done, we move on to taking our bust measurement on the chest line. And on that chest line, we'll mark our bust measurement, which is 9 plus 0.25 ease allowance. On the chest line, we had the 0.25 ease allowance for our back. Now, once we are done creating our armhole for the back, we proceed to the waistline of the back, that's the back length, to take our waistline for the back. So our waist is 28 divided by 4 will give us 7. We mark 7, and then our dart intake is 1.5. We also mark that, and then for our back tightening we'll add the 0.5. Then we'll mark that also and connect this point back to our bust measurement on the chest line. Like I said, 1.5 for the darts, 0.5 for the back tightening will be added on the waistline to the waist measurement for the back, and then we'll connect back to the chest line. The next thing we will do here is to take our bust span measurement from the center back, which is 4 inches. We'll mark it on the waistline and also on the chest line. And then from that chest line, we'll come down by 1 inch